and visit some well-known locations in Western New York, including the Hinsdale House and the Wildwood Sanitarium. Sanitarium is the word I try to say. The second organization he founded was the New Era Paranormal Investigators, which continues to foster new individuals' involvement in the paranormal field. The NEPI organization also produces original content, which include the New Era Paranormal podcast and two investigation series entries. For the New Era Paranormal podcast, he works with Irene to interview individuals who are making news in the paranormal community by making a new documentary series, including a new haunted location or developing a new theory for research. Last year's paranormal series featured NEPI's investigations at 6 new haunted locations in New York State and was titled NEPI Investigates. This year's investigation series featured the Private Eye Paranormal Group, which includes Irene, Danica, and Bam Paranormal out of Ohio. The series features locations new and old out of New York, Pennsylvania, and Ohio. Irene and JD worked on a Canadian paranormal crossover special that should be developed soon. He has some great plans for next year's paranormal content, including returning to his original series idea, which will be featured in his new lecture at this event. So let's all welcome JD.
I should use this microphone.
If you like it, yeah.
So, good evening, everyone.
You can take it out if you want.
Yeah, so my name is JD Curry. I'm from Western New York. I founded 2 paranormal organizations so far. The first is actually the Pioneer Paranormal Society at Alfred State College. We started it in fall of 2019. Originally went to the local poorhouse that's abandoned. It's very haunted. That place, we did a Ouija board session in the center of the location. Figured maybe communicate with the spirits from that place. But what I ended up experiencing was more than I bargained for. I was doing the Ouija board with a group, the club, centered in the center of the building. And then I look up past my club members, and there's a apparition that moves in between the two of them. Then, we investigated the Wildwood Sanitarium and the Hinsdale House, which are really close together, really popular locations. They've been all over TV. I know both of the owners pretty well. Daniel Clays, the owner of the Hinsdale House, was actually really involved with the club because I reached out to him because he was one of the people I knew from the area. So he kind of fostered, and if we needed anything, we could definitely ask him. We also checked out some new locations, the Andover Haunted House, which is a haunted attraction, but it's actually also haunted because it used to be a sanitarium, a hospital in that area. The club is still going. It's been official for 5 years, and it's still ongoing. The club looks like it's going to have a lot of good members that are going to continue to have it running, so it's neat being able to do my own adventures and know that that's still going and still introducing people and introducing them in the right way, not trying to go through private paranormal investigations where that's going to be too much for these students that are just getting introduced. And meeting a lot of good people. We did an investigation series originally, and they are returning to that. I just got news that they're going that direction again. That allows the college students to work on creating a video series and then getting actual community feedback, involvement there. Then I used to do a podcast when I was the president of the organization, where we would interact with our local celebrities, local people that were doing interesting things in the community. Here's some of our photos. This is the first time we went to the Hinsdale House. That was a really interesting night. Never been to any place that was featured on TV before that point. Then a couple years later, we returned with the owner of the Hinsdale House, Daniel Clays. And then that is a more recent photo from the Wildwood Sanitarium. Following the Pioneer Paranormal Society, I started the New Era Paranormal Investigators. The name is the mission, trying to get young adults involved in the paranormal, foster them in the right way, don't overwhelm them. We started the Neppy Investigates because we were active enough. We had an active group of about 5 of us, 4 or 5 of us, and we traveled all over New York State featuring brand new locations that were just trying to get into the paranormal field. And we also did 1 or 2 very popular ones, the Hinsdale House, the Salamanca or Seneca Falls History Museum, which is a collection of a lot of interesting artifacts from that area, but it's also where a lot of women's voting rights were handled. Originally, the club started the New Era Paranormal podcast, and we had a rotating cast of members, investigators that would help with that. That podcast was more geared towards like news, anything, new locations, new technology, new documentary series, or any theories we came across that were interesting. Then Irene joined that this past year, 2014, in the summer, and we continued to go that direction. We actually connected with a lot of different streaming platforms and had success for the podcast and the Neppy Investigate series. And then I started the Remnants project with the New Era Paranormal Investigators. The idea for that was, like, right now the paranormal is just about trying to prove that there are ghosts, there are spirits that walk amongst us. But what if there's more to that? What if the paranormal could be used as an application for something? What if we can use it to actually broaden history, continue to uncover history and expand it? So for the very first pilot, I returned to the Allegheny County Poorhouse, and we did catch an apparition on camera and very clear EVPs. We have a new video coming out that is the Underground Railroad first stop, so it's the second documentary. It was supposed to be a series on its own, but we didn't get enough entries to make it its own series. Then this year, I was talking to Irene. New Era had pretty well washed up. There wasn't as much involvement, and everybody got busy on their own thing, as life happens. So we had a meeting, discussed what we wanted to do for the Private Eye Paranormal series. And it came back to the same idea of trying to feature new locations that were entering the paranormal field and checking out some like really haunted places that we had an eye on. Most of our locations, though, ended up being some really neat new locations. From the Livingston County Poorhouse in Geneseo, New York, that I work with, it's got its own apparitions, a lot of paranormal activity. The Eagle Hotel in Erie, Waterford, PA. That's actually been passed around through New York paranormal teams. And then a few other places, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York. We also did some experiments like the Cortland Opera House. We did actual opera music, and that stirred up the activity, that got them involved, because it's something that they were familiar with. It ended up being a trigger object. The Tree Lawn Center in Cleveland, Ohio, We interacted with spirits that I haven't come across before, spirits that were tricksters. There was a lot of drama behind the scenes of that organization, so they seemed to like to be around that. And they definitely made their presence known. But I can expand upon it. We are trying to do New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania locations that are part of the Underground Railroad. And at each stop, try to uncover history that's part of the broader story of the Underground Railroad. Try to uncover artifacts or stories that might have been lost. So our tagline, our log line for this is exploring the unseen traces of the Underground Railroad. The Remnants Project uncovers forgotten routes, hidden artifacts, and the story's history almost already erased. So the vision for the project, we are trying to make a original, groundbreaking series that focuses more on history and involves paranormal investigation. We are focused for the first season, which is going to be a special season, which is 5 episodes instead of the standard 7, 8. We are going to be focusing on the Underground Railroad sites with haunted connections. And we are trying to make it as immersive and audience-driven as we can, so we're going to have both cast members that are invited in for specific locations and people that are contractors outside of the actual in-field team to try to do original things that might help to communicate with the spirits and try to expand the documented history.
I have a question, but I can wait till the end.
Go ahead.
Okay. You're taking these younger people out, just fresh into college, and you mentioned the tricksters. I mean, poltergeist activity can often be created from these young people dealing with their own emotions. They're not aware they're doing them. And how do you determine the difference between a spirit and it might just be someone on your team dealing with some kind of trauma of their own?
Yeah, I mean, that is separate. The one time that we came across tricksters was with the Private Eye Paranormal team, so they were the older adults that I've
Actually,
worked with.
okay.
We don't really go, we haven't gone to any place that's like truly negative with a club, Pioneer Paranormal Society. New Era also doesn't tend to go to that direction.
Well, it doesn't have to be negative, but I'm saying sometimes people can cause activity themselves.
And whether young or old, you know, anybody can do it.
Yeah.
And so he's just careful in how he's documenting his evidence, and then he has a medium with him to help hopefully interpret that and see if it is an emotional response from the person there or if it is spirit. But we experience that in every type of paranormal investigation, right? It's possible in anything. So we can't know for sure until we go deeper and review the evidence and review the history, and then the people in the space. And so if he finds something that doesn't match anything else, he can say maybe it was one of us present. And so that's the only way we can really make sure, because we're dealing with something unseen, unknown for sure. And the people that do enter a space can affect the space no matter what, whether they're in good mood or bad mood, right?
I say that because I've had a lifelong issue with poltergeist activity. I do not have an attachment. It's me. But I know if I go on an investigation, I'm always going to question.
Yeah, and that's good though. You want to question
I
that.
think like how we approach investigations also kind of filters that out. Because at first we go over the history of the location to know what has already happened there and has been documented. Then we have the psychic go through, see what they might pick up without the history. They don't know the history. They generally don't know the location either. just they go through, highlight anything that they can pick up on, which often correlates with the history. Then we go through, do an investigation based off of the walkthrough and the history, and then reapproach everything in the editing. So. So why does this project matter? It honors the courage and struggle of freedom seekers by telling their stories, allowing them to speak about any complications that they had, any struggles that they had, anything that they haven't had the platform to speak about yet. And we're going directly to the source. We're talking to the first person, which is how a lot of history is written. It's going to be a unique combination of cultural heritage, knowing about our Underground Railroad history, and the supernatural storytelling. It delivers an unforgettable experience. Obviously, it's not something that has been done before. And doing an entire season of locations that are tied together by one historical event, that's not seen that often in the paranormal.
Wait, I'll step out. Hold on, you can finish that.
But the cast and team, most of the cast is here right now. We're going to have additional crew members because we are doing a Ohio-specific location, so we're probably going to bring in Ben. This is my first time running this big of a project, but then I have Cooper, Adriana, and Danica, who all have experience with producing a paranormal documentary already. But we're shooting for the stars for this one, trying to see how big of a traction we can get. And then Irene is obviously our medium. We're going to be the main medium. We probably will involve other people also from time to time. And our director is a big name in Buffalo for filmmaking. So what makes this unique? What makes it different from other paranormal series? So historical rituals, we're trying to use trigger objects to connect directly with the spirits. Because a lot of these locations have the Underground Railroad history, but then they have other aspects of history that are there also. So we're going to be using lanterns and quilts and spiritual songs that are going to connect with these spirits and won't connect with other ones that are already there. For paranormal experiments, we're going to be doing seances, scrying, sensory deprivation, a lot of different intuitional approaches, advanced tech, the usual infrared, ultraviolet, thermal cameras, but I want to do more with the 3D mapping. Actually have it stationary, have it so that I can tell what's in the room. Just have it as a baseline, a static camera, so it's always watching. We'll be blending the storytelling, science, and mystery. So for this series, there's actually a specific time where the Underground Railroad would have ran between May and September. That's generally when they would be able to move without people seeing their tracks and scent. Going to be doing one investigation each month. For audience engagement, we are actually using Patreon, so that we actually have members that are going to be involved with the project throughout its duration. And with that, we're going to be doing live streamed videos through the different scenes, the psychic walkthrough, the history, the investigation, and evidence review. We are going to do an exclusive podcast that's only located in the Patreon for this project, and people will have access to meetings to speak with us directly about it. And we will throw in some merchandise and social media campaigns. So the lasting impact of this project would be to revive hidden Underground Railroad stories. Actually offer an opportunity for the spirits to talk about their experiences, their individual experiences, instead of what was written down in the books that were cited for the main history. It'll build community awareness and education. Bringing up these stories will make people reflect on what actually happened at these locations that they pass by every day, and why it's important. And then create memorable experiences, position the project for future expansion. So for this series, we would not be returning to the Underground Railroad for a second year. We would be trying to approach a different historical event. And then if you guys want, I do have cards for the Patreon and Facebook, so you could follow us, support us, help us get word out there. The tag for the accounts is Neppy Remnants, so I have a trailer for the documentary. So, New Era Paranormal Investigators made 2 stops, filmed 2 investigations so far for this series. We made 1 documentary out of that to cover what we already experienced. And we were definitely able to connect with these spirits that were specific to the Underground Railroad. And this is some of those clips. Actually, we can do it this way.
After completing the Alms House standalone documentary, the Neppy team shifted the Remnants project in a bold new direction. The vision was to launch a full documentary series beginning with one of the most powerful and historic subjects in New York State, the Underground Railroad. In our first year, we were only able to investigate 2 of these remarkable locations. The evidence we captured was nothing short of astonishing.
There was a rumor when I was speaking to the Historical Society people that that might have been used as a stop.
They would meet here to do all their meetings, to move slaves to safer places.
He's not moving. He was just curled up in a corner. Do you just see like the outline of him? No, it's a young black man.
I truly think there's a darker spirit here that is suppressing the ones that won't see it, that were healed.
Again, you're trying to get something out. Do not be harsh on Angela, okay? She's here to help you.
No, you're good. You even had said one point they're crying, or someone's crying.
There was a lot.
I always want to say that there were rituals that happened in this building, but as crazy as that might sound.
Mr. Cup's going down the stairs at us.
So, yeah, we're going to be watching, we're going to be doing a watch party 4 of us, some other new members for the team, and 2 original cast members from that documentary on our Patreon to try to fundraise for our upcoming series. And that'll be November 19th. So, thank you all.